The Sciforror Film Podcast. Hello and welcome to the Sciforror Film Podcast. I'm Andy Walker, and as always, I'm joined by my son Scott. Hello, Scott.
Hello.
Hello. It's getting weird. This you look like you've had an haircut, and I look like I'm.
I have had an haircut. I actually had one yesterday.
Yeah, it
Which
looks
is
like
one of the reasons why I was looking at the mirror, in the mirror, in the camera beforehand, because I realised I got a really red mark right there. I got a bit too close with a razor.
I look like I'm auditioning for a part in Castaway. Tom
I thought you were doing an early audition for like Father Christmas again.
No, I've got to look here. It's here. I've got hair up here on my head. I can see it. It's ridiculous.
No, it's been years
Anyway.
since you've had hair on your head.
Yeah. How you do?
Yeah, I'm all right. Sorry, I'll say that again. Yes, I'm all right.
Okay, good.
How are you, Father?
Well, apart from my still being annoyed with myself at my own stupidity, after securing a free ticket to go and see the first Omen,
Yes.
I then managed to get the time wrong by looking at the ticket and forgetting that it was a 24-hour clock and thinking it started at 8:30 when it started at 6:30. So I went out
I
at
wasn't
6 o'clock. I went out at 6 o'clock, got on the tube, got from here to the tube station, got on the tube train at 6:30 and thought, let's have a look and see exactly where it is I've got to go to the cinema once I get out the other end in Oxford at Piccadilly Circus. And I had a look at it, and then I noticed on the ticket it said 18:30, not 8:30. And I thought, well, there's no point in me going because at the moment I've just got on this train and it's 18:31. So there's no way I'm going to be able to get there in time. It's going to take me another hour to get there. So I came back home.
Yeah, it's a shame.
A little bit.
It happens.
I was a little bit annoyed with myself because I'm really quite looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, I've got to admit, when you said to me about it, I thought, oh, that's quite interesting. But
And the idea of going the day before it was on general release was quite good. But there you go. Hey, these things happen.
Moral of the story there, boys and girls, make sure you read the ticket properly.
Absolutely.
Always read the fine print.
Well, yeah. Don't get old because you get forgetful and you do stupid things.
Make sure you've got the right glasses on.
No, you just read things wrong because you get stupid. Anyway, right. So onwards and upwards, as they say. So this episode, we are doing a couple of different things. We're going to do. I'll tell you what. Let's do the feature film first.
Okay.
Because I didn't go and see the first Omen, I thought
you made us watch the first Omen.
Yeah, I thought what you would do is we would do the 1976 film, The Omen, directed by Richard Donner, written by David Seltzer. It's got Gregory Peck, Lee Remick, David Warner, Harvey Spencer Stevens, Billy Whitelaw, Patrick Troughton, Martin Benson, Leo McKern in it. Now, for those of you who don't know, this is about the synopsis for this is the basic story and synopsis. American couple, he's a politician. They have a baby, going to have a baby, but the baby dies at birth and is replaced without the mother knowing, but the father does know. As he grows up, strange and violent things happen around him, and he's eventually shown to be the Antichrist. Anyway, so what do you think?
No, I've seen this before. I've seen this quite a few times actually, and the remake of the first one, which is really bizarre, that they did in 2006.
Yeah, I
I've seen.
haven't seen the remake. It
It's a
wasn't
very
something I
weird.
really wanted to.
It's very weird. It's basically exactly the same. What they did was modernise it. But yeah, no, it's very good. I love this. I've always loved the Omen stuff because of the fact that it's just, funnily enough, is what I'm into, like sort of dark and weird and wonderful stuff like that. It's it's a lot of it. I think with some of the effects in it are very 70s, and it's a bit obvious, but it's still I still think it's a really good film.
Yeah,
Like there's certain effects that I looked at and I'm like, you can look at it and go, well, that's blatantly fake. This is, but there was a lot of it, like some of the editing and um some of the effects that obviously loads of people are probably saying this, but so the effects of the shot they do with that happens to the priest when he gets skewered,
yes, that
I
is it.
still think is amazingly done. Even
Yeah,
like it was amazingly done in the remake of it. For them to do that in the 1976 one and pull it off the way they did with that, it looking obvious that it's fake.
yeah.
Like it looked genuine, like the fact that someone had been impaled. It looks amazing. There's certain bits I'm still amazed with how they got away with the what they how they filmed what happened to the nanny at the beginning. I thought
Yeah.
was a bit, especially for the fact that I know people that have done that, and it's just like I'm surprised they were allowed to show that.
Well, yeah. I mean, at the time, it was quite a controversial film at the time, to be honest.
Yeah,
You see, I would rate this probably alongside The Exorcist. I wouldn't necessarily say it was better than The Exorcist, but then that's the personal preference. But I think that they were two films that kind of took horror a step into the mainstream. Um, and this especially this one, having people like Gregory Peck in it and Lee Remick, it kind of took it. It kind of took it a step into the mainstream where it kind of it never quite got before. If you know what I mean?
yeah. You know what I'm thinking about. I think it's also it shows the fact that it's a type of horror, and done it very well with this. And like you said with the X as well, that showed that it could be a horror film without there being blood and guts and it being gore and
Yeah,
slashers and people die. Like I don't remember people dying it, but not like in gruesome ways, and there being loads of blood and guts and
yeah, yeah.
unnecessary stuff that was in it.
And,
This is another. It's just more. I would say this is more of a psychological horror because it's the
and it's got more of a story to it, which I think
yeah
is missing from a lot of the later films, a lot of the 80s films. They kind of went over the top on the effects and the gore and forgot about the story and the characters. But I think this is a really good film for its time. And it's there are, I mean, there are things about it. There's sort of like there are a lot of things that happen that they just kind of seem to accept or take in
yeah.
their stride without questioning
Yeah,
them much.
it's one of those films where people go, oh, "This has got to happen," and no one goes, "But why?"
Yeah,
It's sort of all right.
yeah. As you say, I mean, the effect, the death scene, Patrick Troughton's priest, that death scene is brilliant. The bit where David Warner's character gets his head chopped off isn't quite as good,
Yeah, no,
but it's
I've got to
still
admit, the build up to it and the setup to it was good, but the actual effect wise of it wasn't.
it's things like where they're being attacked by the dogs in the graveyard. That is incredibly well done, and it really looks like they're being attacked by these
Also,
dogs. You know?
the things as well, not just that, but like with that, but the shots and the cinematography they've done for the mum falling off the balcony.
Yeah,
Okay, yes, it was almost you could sort of tell it a little bit, but it's not like proper in your face. This is how they've done it. You
yeah,
can see it's sort of a little bit if you pay attention to it and have to slow it down.
and
But it's
yeah, I
still a
mean, where she
very very good scene.
the bit where she ends up coming out the window of the hospital through the top of the ambulance, that's incredibly well done.
Well, all of it to be honest, there, but like I've got to admit, like don't be wrong. This is again another film where I've watched before. I've watched before many times before, and
Mm.
it's not really bad. But this is the first time I think I've watched it since. And this is going to make me sound really bad. Since I've become a parent, since I've
Yeah,
got to that point, but like, and I don't know, it was that different impact of hearing the kid or the person that played Damien, hearing him say, "Please, Daddy, don't," at that point, and I was like, "Oh, that hit differently." But I think,
yeah,
and so I get understand why why there was a lot of controversy with this film. There still is with a lot of the franchise,
yeah,
but it's one of the things that I was having a look, and this must have screwed up the person who done it, because this is the only film he ever done.
yeah.
And I
No,
will say, I love the fact I was reading up a biography of him, and the only reason he got the part is because when he was younger, he didn't want to be on the audition. Apparently, his parents sort of forced him to do it, so he kicked off and he punched the director below the belt. And it's the only reason he got the part is because that's what they were looking for.
fair enough. Well, I'll have to remember that next time I go for an audition.
But but again, it's just the fact that having a film like this, that I get the fact he's not in a lot of, he's in parts of it, and there's a lot of stuff going on, and there's a lot of
Yeah.
things that he's probably involved in that might have sort of they might have had to see. But to have to be a kid in this film where you see a lot of the stuff that's going on must have done some
Oh, yeah. Well,
psychological damage.
I do always
But
worry about
he's
things.
still a very good for what, a 5, 6 year old.
I do always worry about kids in these sort of films, about what it does to them in the long run.
I've got,
Um,
I've got to admit, I will. I do owe this film an apology, and I do it every single time I watch it. Now
mm,
I know this probably had quite a big budget for the time, and it done. But every single time, there's the scene where they're sort of new and they've come to England, and
yeah,
they're walking through the field and they're pulling the toy dog behind them.
yeah,
Every single time, there's a voice in my head goes, "God, the budget for this is really low. If that's how they can get an animal." And it's only later when I'm like, "No, it's a toy." It's
yeah,
just the fact that every single time I'm like, "Couldn't they afford a real dog?"
yeah. No, I know what you mean. I mean, I think this is, for its time, it was a really good film, and it had a great story, good acting, well made, some great effects, and some, okay. But again, you got to look at the time it was done. It's all practical effects. There was no CGI. There was no green screen stuff being done.
Well, it's the thing
Um,
as well with this as well for a '70s film.
yeah,
Even for a horror film, and I know the fact is a lot of it's to do with Christian, I want to say mythology, but no, that's not the right word.
I know what you mean.
But like the sort of Christian belief and stuff like that, so there wouldn't be a lot of, and it's the whole anti. But it's another film from the '70s that has that's shown as well that you don't need to put unwanted nudity in it. Like
Yeah,
there are times where it could have done where where things were happening and they didn't need to, and it shows the fact that there was a lot of films where they put it in there because they could,
yeah,
but it didn't need to be done. And this, I think, is as much as I say, there's a couple of bits in it that mainly effect wise that I think are not as good, but it's still a very good film for this day and age.
absolutely. Yeah, no, I think it is. I think it's still, on the whole, it's a good film, and it still stands up well.
Yeah,
For the film it is, it's still worth a look at. If you haven't
it
seen it,
is. And
then
to
have
be
a
honest,
watch.
I love the whole franchise, and I
I,
I have found out that now I can watch a lot of the others on some of the other streaming services as well.
I've got to admit that I watched the first half of the second film and couldn't get into it. So
But this is what we have this conversation over. The second one's never as good as the first,
no, no,
but
but
it's still a good franchise. I think mainly because of the fact I think it's funny the fact that there's still a lot of die hard, and I mean like proper die hard, the ones that
mm,
like everything has to be a bad god that will fight the fact that there isn't a way for the Antichrist to come around, but it just there's things that there's people out there that will be, and
yeah,
it's just I love the fact that they showed it in these films and managed to do it.
yeah, yeah. No, it was good. It's a good film. Yes. Okay, so let's go on to this. Something completely different and something unlike anything we've ever done before. Um, okay.
That anything like we've done before.
It's nothing like anything we've done before. We are looking at a television series. Well, it started off as a web series and
Yes.
then became a television series, and it's called Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. Now, this is a British, it's described as being musical comedy horror. Um, it started as a web series, as I said, created by Becky Sloan and Joe Pelling. Um, the cast is Becky Sloan, Joe Pelling, and Baker Terry. And there may be a few others. But it started as a web series. There were 6 episodes on YouTube, and then there was that they were put on between 2011 and 2016. And then in 2022, Channel 4 um, commissioned a series of 6 further episodes which were on Channel 4. So the original 6 can be seen on YouTube. The other 6 are on the Channel 4 streaming service, all 4.
Yeah.
So here you go. Now, let me see. It's They describe it as a blend of surrealism, dark humor, and horror with musical elements. It combines puppetry, live action, and different styles of animation. Stop motion animation, flash animation, clay animation, computer animation, and just standard animation. Um, Becky Sloan and Joe Pelling are British graphic designers, artists, and animators, and used to work, or they have worked as part of the This Is It collective.
Yes.
Now, this is a very difficult program to sum up, really.
So are we? I'm going to ask this mainly for my own satisfaction, just justification. Sorry, are we doing each episode or just the whole series?
I thought we'd just do the whole series because
Oh,
if we
thank
do each
God for that.
episode, it's just going to we're going to get bogged down in there's so much going on in each episode. Now, the web episodes are only short.
Yeah, as I said, the web episodes. I think the longest one's about 8 minutes.
Yeah. Whereas the TV ones are all about half an hour.
Yeah, about I think 23 minutes to half an hour long.
So,
Well,
I,
if we start with the first 6 and
okay,
then do
the
the
six
second
web
6,
episodes.
yeah,
Well, I've got to say, just as an overarching statement for the whole thing, I love this. Um, I was introduced to it by Pete, and he told me about it, and I sat and watched the first couple of episodes and didn't know what the hell I was watching.
yeah,
Um, the web episodes, the short, they're only the short web episodes are, I think they're brilliant because they fit so much stuff into such a short space of time,
yeah,
and it swings from being almost like a kind of Sesame Street style children's program to there being sort of things like a live heart pumping in the middle of the table and things like that. And
yeah.
it,
It's say I will say, and I don't know whether or not this is because possibly Channel 4 put in stipulations or whatever, but I will say for me, the first 6 seemed to have a lot more darkness in them. Or well,
um,
it's obvious
yeah,
darkness, I
I
mean,
know
like
what you
proper
mean.
in it. But I do agree with you. And the overarching factor is the fact that it's amazing. I will say, and I've spoken about the fact that random cases of this, I've got mental health issues and shit like that. I've had worse episodes. I've had episodes of where that's gone worse that have made more sense to me, and I've been able to sit afterwards and go, okay, and pull away from it than I have done with this.
I
I
mean,
sat there after all 12 of these episodes, and I just wouldn't look at Amy when my brain feels like it's melting. It's
I mean, the
I do think watching 12 in a row was probably the
yeah,
reason why I didn't give a
well,
break.
possibly. I mean, the bizarreness and darkness of the episodes, the web episodes, is just brilliant. It's just kind
Yeah,
of
it's
it and it's so unexpected because if you know nothing about this and you just start watching the first episode, you start thinking, "Oh, this is a kid's
Yeah, nice.
educational TV program, Sesame Street style thing, and then it just goes completely. What the hell is going on?
Yeah, see. I remember when you first told about this, that you said to me about it. So I only watched the first episode. I went, yeah, well, and I sat there and like, oh my god, I can't believe this is okay. So I never watched it anymore. And then when you said to me we're doing it for this, I was like, oh, God, go and watch them. So I did. I watched the first six. What I loved about this is the fact that they weren't, as much as they were separate episodes,
Yeah.
there was a little bit within it that tied it to one before,
Yes.
or tied them all together. And I liked the fact that it wasn't the fact that it was jumping all over the place. There were subtle little ties.
And there were things, there were even things in the second lot that were on Channel 4 that link back to things that happened in the first
Yeah.
episodes. Um, I mean, the Channel 4 episodes are longer. They're just as bizarre.
Oh
And,
yeah, no,
and
don't be wrong. I'm not saying that they've stopped anything, but there is definitely a lot more bizarreness, and they seem because I think they've got that half an hour episodes, they've been able to jam a lot more bizarreness into it.
the only thing I would say is there's a couple of them that do kind of feel like they get a little bit slow in the pace of what's going on. But then they pick up again
Yeah.
just before it gets to the point where you're thinking, come on, do something. They kind of pick up with it. So on the whole,
Well,
they work really well.
for me, I will say for me, and like it's mainly the second lot. There's one episode that sticks out to me, and it's just the whole family tree thing. The whole you've got to be a family.
Yeah,
That was bizarre as anything for me,
that
and I
is.
sat there like, this is getting a bit to the point where it was not in a bad way, but it was making me feel uneasy.
Mm,
And I was like, I'm sitting there like, this is getting really bizarre. And I got to
mm,
the point where after that episode, I actually had to pause it all because I was watching it. I was watching it on my tablet, so it was basically in my face in front of me. I put everything down, sort of stepped away, and I'm like, I need a drink. I need to step away for 5 minutes.
the bizarre thing about that is that even when the yellow guy's real dad turns up,
Yeah,
he kind of joins the rest of the family rather than
yeah. It's
it's.
there's a love. I said there's loads of little bits that stand out for me. Like there's one of the things they're talking about being friends, and
Yeah.
that, the fact that everyone's got someone and and then they tell the story of Henry,
Mm.
the little boy who lives in the cave. But there's no ending to it. There's no
No,
story behind that. It's just they tell a story and the fact he's all alone,
and
and then they carry on with the. And I'm like, what?
it's things like the one where the duck dies.
Yeah,
Well, he doesn't actually die. He just reads in the paper that he's dead, so he thinks he must be dead. So therefore,
he's
he's
dead.
got to be buried.
Yeah.
And that is just kind of what the
I was.
hell?
There's what the episode where they go to the when they go to the I can't remember. It's the Sons and Friends Parts and Bits Factory Limited,
Mm, yes,
and they go to that. And I rewatched it, part of it, because I realised the ones that they when they were making the parts and they were faulty, they were going in the bin.
yeah,
But when they were perfect and they were quality parts, they were put in protest and re-dolled back onto the conveyor.
yeah,
And I sat there like, I was like, no, I must have missed that. I watched it. Oh, they are.
yeah.
And I love it. I'd say I love everything about this. It's just such a bizarre mind mess up. Like it just,
Oh,
it
absolutely.
basically is. If this is the best way, and I was trying to, I actually remember saying to, I watched it a couple of days ago, and I watched it today, and I actually said to my friend, said to one of my friends about it because I was trying to describe it to him, and they were like, "Tell me about it. Like, I want to know something that goes into it before I watch it because I want to make sure I'm in the right mindset." And I was like, all right. And I said to him, I was like, have you ever done anything like narcotic wise? He was like, yeah. I went, imagine that, doing that, and then put your head in a blender and screwing it all up and then redoing it. And he was like, I can't. I went, exactly. I can't put into words what things are like. It is just such a mind mess up and so screws your mind so much,
And
but in a good way.
the thing about it is, though, is the fact that when I'm watching it in my head, in the background of my head, it still looks like it should be a Sesame Street
Yeah,
style children's program.
yeah.
But you watching it and you know that what's going on the screen is nothing like
It's,
that.
you know what? There's a lot of films and a lot of things that have been happening recently, like franchise wise, and there's games and there's films and stuff like that. Where I think that this fits in perfectly with. Like obviously, there's a film and a game that's come out. It's called Five Nights at Freddy's. They've done
Mm,
even to a point to a certain extent, and I know this is pushing the boat out a lot. Going back to our very first film that we ever done
yes.
with the whole killer animatronics things and stuff like that, and even Willy's Wonderland and stuff like that. It's a great way of doing like that. It sort of fits into that
See,
category
I
of it
I
being
would love to.
bizarre and good.
I don't know if they could maintain it, but I would love to see him do a film of this.
Do you know what? I genuinely think they could because it's a good way of. I suppose it's a good way of just sort of carrying it on because even if they say start at the end, their end episode where they're in the car
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
and going for the drive. If they start it there and it just sort of divulges and gets worse as it goes along, I think they could.
But the thing that gets me is that by the end of the last episode, you've almost gone full circle back to the beginning of the thing. And if you notice it, the calendar in the background, the date never changes.
No. And the fact that everything's trying to tell them to go home.
Yeah,
The car, the sat nav, everything that they find tells them to go home. And it's
it,
just like, this is bizarre.
it is. The whole
Not
thing
as
is
bizarre as like the guy who, like, it was when they were standing and they entered the factory and it aged 40 years and he hadn't. And it,
yeah,
what? Okay.
yeah. And then next one, they're back at the beginning again.
Yeah.
It is a fantastic series. I would recommend it to anybody. Anybody, if you're into sort of slightly bizarre, surrealistic horror stuff, it's definitely got to be worth a
Yeah,
watch.
as I say, if you've ever watched Sesame, like Dad said, if you ever watched Sesame Street and got this could do with a whole lot of surrealism,
Yeah,
it's a perfect program for
it'd
you.
be. It's like if David Lynch directed an episode of Sesame Street.
Oh yeah, it's
Sesame Street meets Eraserhead. That sort of.
yeah, it's almost what I'd expect a sort of Tim Burton to do an episode like
Yeah, I suppose.
that sort of
I don't know. I think
fluffy.
Tim Burton stuff's a bit more straight down the line than
Yeah,
this.
but like it's sort of that mind. Sorry, that mind mesh up between it. It's weird that I sat there and I've watched this all and spoken away me about and spoken about people, but it's so hard to genuinely put it into words without.
It is.
To be honest, as well, for me, it's hard for me to think of the right words without saying some profanities. Without going, this is just weird.
It is.
It's just
It needs to be
it's
seen.
such a bizarre thing.
It needs to be seen to be believed
Yeah,
and understood. To be honest,
it is
and
almost like it should be on Ripley's Believe It or Not.
as we've said many times before with this sort of thing, there's a
Go
part of
now.
me that wants to meet these people and say to
Yes.
them, "Where did this come from?"
Yeah, no, I do. I want to meet these people and mainly ask if they're okay, but sort of again, just go to them. Look, where did this come from? Where was this idea?
What happened to you?
Where was the line that you said we can't cross that?
What happened to you in your childhood to make you want to do this?
Yeah, it's just it's sort of a
Uh,
lot of, and look, part of me also wants to meet the person from Channel 4 that turned around and said we need to make this into a proper
oh,
series.
well, yeah. I mean that's just.
I would love to have been a fly on the wall for that board meeting for the person to go, "I've got a great idea," and
We've
watch them try
we've
and
we've
justify
seen
it.
this, and we want to commission a series of it. And
Yeah,
the directors,
because
the
it's
people at
I've
the
got
top
to
go,
admit,
"What?"
it come out in, like obviously the Channel 4 series come out in 2022, so it's not
Yeah,
even that old.
no.
And it's just like I would love to have been in that board meeting for them to go,
But
you
the
serious?"
thing that got me is that this was only 2 years ago, and I don't remember seeing it on Channel 4.
No. I think it's one of them programs I think that just sort of they sneak in under the radar and go, we say we've made it. If anyone notices, then they're obviously looking for something like that.
So there you go. So yes, the Omen, the original Omen film. If you want to go and see it, I'll put the link up because it's on YouTube. It's definitely worth a look. And
Yes,
I will put a link to the Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared web channel
yes.
on YouTube, and to
Yeah, so like,
the other six are on the
yeah,
Channel 4
on all four.
streaming
Literally, just
service.
type in "Don't hug me, I'm scared," and you'll see them.
Absolutely, absolutely. Right.
Yes.
No. Thank you very much, Scott, for your input and aid.
I
Um,
will say, for if this ever gets to the people that make "Don't hug me, I'm scared," there might need to be a warning that says don't watch them all consecutively. I did.
I did.
I watched them all 12 today, and apart from the fact that I genuinely thought, because I didn't realise the ones on Channel 4 were like half an hour ones long, so I was like, sweet, I do this all in an hour. I can carry on doing what I'm doing, and then sat there after watching them all like 3 hours later, and I'm like, I don't even know what my name is anymore.
I watched them all straight through. They were all right. I suppose it
Maybe it's
depends
just the
on
fact
mine.
that maybe I need to sort my medication out or something like that. Because
I think,
yeah, I'm saying I watched them all, and I'm just like, I don't know how to talk. I like put it into words.
I think it depends on your mindset at the time you watch them.
Yeah, it probably is that.
Right. So I'm not going to say what we're going to be doing next week because every time I
Every
do,
time you do, it changes.
yeah, every time we do that, something happens and we're not going to be able to do it. So um, thank you for being on here. We will be doing this again in a few weeks' time and things until such time as that happens.
I will say as well quickly because I'm guessing the time that it's going out. There are still tickets for, or from I gather there's still tickets because they're still asking about it for the Riller Thriller
Oh,
thing. If
yes,
you want to go along to it,
definitely.
obviously I know as they're pointed out, it is in the middle of nowhere, but they are trying to make this as good and big as
Hey,
possible. And if anyone can make it along, go along, have a laugh. They've got so much going on there, and they're
and
putting so much.
follow them on Instagram. They're on Instagram. The Real Thriller stuff is on Instagram and on Facebook. So follow them on there. You can also find their websites and that sort of thing. I'll put up some links to their
Yeah,
stuff.
they're great guys, and they're doing such a great idea. And
Oh, they are. They're really nice
they're
guys.
saying the stuff that they're pulling off and doing and getting involved, managing to get to that
Yeah.
is going to be an
And
amazing time.
I think they've got a couple of special guests, one of whom is a guy who was in The Descent
Yes,
and Dog Soldiers.
yes. So
So,
as I say, they've got some people going along. They've got a lot of films that are being shown. They're getting more and more every time I look at their page and stuff comes up. They're getting more and more stuff sort of involved and having going on. So
yeah,
it's going to be it should be a great weekend. I would say I wish I could be there, but I've got
yes,
other priorities that
same here.
a couple of days beforehand.
it's not that expensive either.
No,
It's only
but
£13 a ticket from what they're saying.
yes, but well, hopefully it goes great for them. And if anyone wants to go along, say we sent you. You never know; they might give you a hug. Um, it'll
Definitely.
be it's a great opportunity.
Yes, definitely. Righty ho. We will see you again soonish. And yes, until then, keep on keeping on
Keep on tracking.
and whatever you do, don't. And we'll see you again. Bye.
Bye.
The Sciforror Film Podcast.